member for Calgary-Lougheed is next.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today for the first time with exceeding gratitude for my family, the constituents of Calgary-Lougheed, and my fellow members. Thank you for all your support as I begin this journey as the United Conservative MLA for Calgary-Lougheed. That sounds good. It's truly an honor to serve this beautiful province. I was born and raised in Montreal, Quebec. My father, Larry Bouchard, was a shift worker for Kraft General Foods. I remember having to play very quietly when he worked night shifts because he slept in the day. My father taught me the value of hard work and that providing for a family and living a good life did not come free or easily. I'd always wanted to be my own boss. My first business was delivering newspapers at the age of 10. I had the responsibility to collect money, pay back the newspaper, and keep the rest. I did that until the age of 17, when I left home and went to the only college that recruited me to play basketball. I funded my education by planting trees in the spring and summer. It was hard work, but I was paid per tree planted, so the more I planted, the more I earned. As a young man in 1992, I answered an ad in the Montreal Gazette for a door-to-door sales job in rural Alberta. I flew here the next day. Mr. Speaker, the open skies and vast landscape blew me away as I drove from the Edmonton airport to Red Deer. Over the next month, I worked from Airdrie to Cold Lake and just about every town in between. Although the sales job was certainly not ideal, the authenticity of the people I met in these towns reminded me of what really matters: hard work, family, and community. Eventually, I made my way to Banff, and I started off working as a housekeeper. I was pretty sure that position wasn't my calling, so I continued to look for more work, and eventually found my way into the bar business. If you buy me a beer sometime, I'll tell you that story. The end of the story, however, is that I'd found my place here in Alberta. The hospitality industry was also very much like my own business. The more I engaged with my customers, the more money I made, all the while saving for my future. In 1997, on a surfing trip in the south of Mexico, I was caught in a hurricane. I spent 2 days with no electricity and a night in complete darkness. It was a transformative time for me, and I contemplated some major life changes. I finally returned to Alberta, decided to settle down in Calgary, and that's where I met my beautiful wife, Roxanne. We were married, had our first child, and bought our first home, all in 1999. Over the next 20 years, we had 3 more children and invested in multiple businesses, including real estate and restaurants. I grew a small cafe into a busy downtown restaurant and catering company that increased in sales each year over a 10-year period. As our business grew, we expanded our operation multiple times, all funded by personal guaranteed bank loans. In 2015, my business, as well as countless other businesses in Alberta, flatlined as we faced new government. Mr. Speaker, over the next 4 years, Albertans left this province for opportunities elsewhere. These were my toughest years as a business owner. Higher costs, out of my control, forced me to reduce my staff by over 50% during this time. My last expansion was in January 2020. After 4 years of no growth, I was finally seeing increased sales again. Mr. Speaker, after 10 weeks of new business, I was forced to close the doors. I laid off all my employees, which was really difficult. Most had been with me for over 5 years, and we were like a family. I wasn't alone in my grief. Business owners across the province struggled with changing government policies. What followed me for the next 2 years was a lot of anger, pain, and frustration while my debts and costs accumulated. The business I had built and the business that had provided for my family was gone. I cannot emphasize strongly enough how much Roxanne and my 4 children, Erica, Andrew, Danielle, and Tyler, helped me keep it together during this time. Fortunately, Roxanne had returned to university a couple years prior and had started a new career as a school teacher. For the first time in our lives together, she was the sole provider for our family. I see firsthand how hard teachers work in this province. I'm thankful for those passionate teachers, like my wife, who spend countless hours of their personal time to better the education they're providing for their students. While Roxanne was starting up her new career, I continued to navigate uncharted waters, which led me to send a life-changing letter in January 2021 to small businesses who I had connections with. Mr. Speaker, I felt that owners needed to do something. We needed to advocate for our businesses and for our families. My letter was forwarded to another business owner I didn't know, but he wanted to meet with me. That was the start of the new journey. We began as a small group. We met weekly to discuss what we could do to get our businesses open again, to protect our livelihoods and fight for our freedoms. The freedoms that my grandfather, Roger Bouchard, fought for as a Canadian soldier in World War II. Our group wrote to local, provincial, and federal governments. We felt like we were making a difference. The camaraderie and support I felt from this group helped me get through some very difficult times. Almost a year later, I was served for the last business loan I had taken. I'm not sure if anyone else in this room has ever been served, but it was surreal. It was something out of the movies. A man knocked on my door, said, "Are you Eric Bouchard?" handed me an envelope, and was gone. 2 days later, with no knowledge as to what had happened, my group asked if I would consider running as the MLA for Calgary-Lougheed. My response was, "I'm not a politician." And their response was, "Exactly." I thought it over with my family over the Christmas holidays. I was sure my family would have said, "Don't do it." I'm here today. They were obviously behind me 100%. The campaign began in early January, Mr. Speaker. Throughout the process, I was in awe at the number of everyday grassroots Albertans who volunteered with my campaign. My volunteers were a diverse group, coming from all backgrounds and demographics. What united us is our passion for our province, our concern for our families and communities, and our desire to have a say in the policies formed here. Over the past year, through many conversations with the constituents in Calgary-Lougheed, I've come to know the great diversity that exists in the communities of Shawnee, Evergreen, Millrise, Bridlewood, and the newly constructed Alpine Park. I recently attended the Evergreen Multicultural Festival, which showcased the vibrant cultural diversity in the community. Calgary-Lougheed holds a large population of new Canadians and also many seniors. Mr. Speaker, the constituents in Calgary-Lougheed want to see a strong healthcare system, good education for their children, affordable cost of living, better mental health and addiction support, as well as improved public safety. They want to raise their children with the values and traditions they deem important. Families form the foundation of our society. Children are the energy and lifeblood of our communities. To ensure that we, as Albertans, can impart our values within our children, this should not be done with government interference, without government interference. The United Conservative Party affirms the family as the building block of society and believes that families should be protected from intrusion by government. Mr. Speaker, the small business owners in Calgary-Lougheed want to be independent and free to run their operations in environments that support growth and economic development. They don't have the time for bureaucracy. They're busy running and trying to grow their businesses. Calgary-Lougheed is named in honor of former Premier Peter Lougheed, who worked to stimulate economic development and diversification. Small businesses help reduce unemployment rates, increase consumer spending, and promote economic resilience. They keep taxes closer to home, build community identity, and diversify local marketplaces. Mr. Speaker, our government can support small businesses and families through policies that lower taxes, reduce red tape, and protect energy costs. I've always believed in the entrepreneurial spirit Alberta is founded on. Like most hardworking Albertans, I know firsthand what it's like to go through the boom and bust cycles, having navigated my businesses through not one, but 2 economic recessions. I also know, Mr. Speaker, what it's like to make difficult decisions to keep my business going, and that's part of the reason why I'm here today. As a member of the United Conservative Party, I'm going to work to ensure that businesses throughout Alberta are supported and valued. And I'm proud to be working on some initiatives that will put Alberta tech ahead of Ottawa's taxes. Over the last few years, business owners like myself have become more engaged. We realize that without getting involved, we cannot affect change. More people have come to this process through joining parties, joining boards, and volunteering because they want better representation. Mr. Speaker, as elected politicians, we should be promoting, encouraging, and welcoming diversity in the democratic process. I'm newer to the world of politics, and it's my intention to welcome new ideas, new thoughts, and new members to this process. Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to have the opportunity to support and work with our Premier. Her vision and direction for the province inspires me. She's a strong leader who answers tough questions and works tirelessly to put Albertan families and communities first. I want to sincerely thank all my colleagues who offered me a helping hand since the election, grateful to the experienced MLAs who have graciously reached out to me. I also am very grateful, Mr. Speaker, for my fellow new MLAs with whom I've already formed bonds with. In times of stress, laughter, camaraderie, and team building has truly contributed to a great working environment. And I'd like to thank the entire caucus. I look forward to working with you and with all the members of the Legislative Assembly on behalf of all Albertans. I hope my story as a pretty boring small business family guy turned MLA can inspire other regular Albertans to get involved. Throughout my life, I've always risen to the challenge. As a basketball fan, I'm going to humbly compare myself to Michael Jordan here. Humbly, I said. I too was cut from my first basketball team. The following day, shaking with nerves, I visited the coach to tell him he was wrong for cutting me. He gave me a second chance and I joined the team. I ended up staying with the team until high school was over and we had won multiple championships. We are the drivers of our own destiny. Albertans are ready to take the bull by the horns and be the drivers of destiny for this great province. My journey to becoming an MLA would not have been made possible without the strength of regular Albertans who are committed to the truth, ask questions, know that facts matter, and remain curious and involved. Mr. Speaker, as a father of four and a former small business owner, I understand when politics don't work for small business owners and families. I will work hard in the coming years to protect and grow the Alberta advantage by putting small businesses and families first. That's why I'm committed to making politics work for everyday Albertans. Thank you.